This 3DS XL is worth at least $300, but I only paid $180 for it because it's broken and no one can fix it. I'm gonna see if we can change that in this video. Let's get it opened up and see what's going on. So the seller bought this new in 2020. It stopped charging, so he took it to 2 repair shops who couldn't fix it. So then he tried to fix it, and that was a big mistake. His words, not mine. He learned how to solder and he replaced the charge port, but broke some of the other parts on the motherboard, including some of the latches for the ribbon cables. That's not my favorite repair to do, but I can do it, but I'm not convinced that's the only thing going on here. And here we have a semi-major problem. This screw is not totally, but mostly stripped out. So trying to find a bit that will work in there. What I usually do is I first start by trying to see if I can find a bit that will grab any part of that screw and enough of the screw to get it to actually come out. This one, there's not much left of the screw, but I'm gonna try some star bits. Not that one. That one almost does, but not quite. No, not that one either. Okay, so none of those work. Let's try just a flathead bit. These often work because they just need 2 points to contact. Okay, let's try this. Come on. I can't tell if that's working or not. Most likely not. This is pretty stripped out. And just none of the bits I've tried are working at all. They won't grip it at all because that screw is just too rounded off. So we're gonna go with the Dremel. Gonna try and grind out the screw and then we'll see if that'll get it out. Here we go. Okay, and that was quick. And the screw is still in there, which I expected. It just ground off the edges. So now we can turn it out. This thing is in here really tight. That is a pretty rounded out screw. I just noticed this too. That must be just where somebody was prying on this thing. That's some unfortunate damage. Okay, that's a little weird, but whatever. Okay, so let's take a look at this board and see how damaged it is. This video is sponsored by Whatnot, and to say thank you for all your support, we're giving away a PlayStation 5 to one of you. I'll tell you how to enter in just a second. If you haven't checked it out yet, Whatnot is an app where you can buy and sell pretty much anything. I'm always on the hunt for tools and electronics, but there's Pokemon cards, there's Legos, there's coins, there's even designer handbags, and so much more. The last time I was browsing the tools section, I was seeing Milwaukee tools go for more than 50% off of retail. Some of the deals I saw were pretty crazy. If you want to check out Whatnot, just scan the QR code up on your screen now. There's also a link right in the description that'll take you right to it. The best part about it is you're gonna get $15 towards your first purchase, and that's anywhere on the app. That's basically like getting a controller or a pair of headphones for half price. If you want a shot at winning this PlayStation 5, there's 2 things you need to do. First, download the Whatnot app using my link, and second, put your Whatnot username in the comments below and tell me what you're gonna spend your $15 on. And if you spend some or all of your $15 credit, you'll get a bonus entry into the giveaway. Whatnot will randomly pick a winner in about a month, and I will message you right on Whatnot. So make sure and download the app and follow my profile on Whatnot. Thanks so much to Whatnot for sponsoring this video and giveaway. Let's get back to this repair. So let's take a look at this board and see how damaged it is. We've got a little bit of damage here from someone prying on the board, but the connectors he was talking about, this one's fine, this one's fine, this one, those 2 are fine. So far, I don't see any connectors that actually have a problem. This cable is in here sideways. That's a problem. I think what we need to do is take this whole motherboard out so we can check out the other side and also make sure these ribbon cables are installed correctly. We also do need to check this charge port to make sure that's all soldered on correctly as well. These screws are also almost rounded off, so that could be difficult to get out, but also these ones, I'm going to take this out too just so we can check everything on this and make sure everything's good there. Got to be super careful removing these screws. Got to get a bit that fits them perfectly. and then put a bunch of pressure down while I'm twisting, and hopefully those will come out. All right, here we go. Okay, that one's loose, that one's loose, that one's loose, and that one's loose. Okay, good so far. This one's loose. These ones aren't quite as bad. Just a reminder, when you're removing screws, make sure you have a bit that fits the screws, or else you're going to be stripping them out. Now I'm just going to take all of these screws out, and then we'll get the board out. So on the new 3DS XL, these type of connectors right here, this is not a tab that you flip up. It's one you just pull the ribbon cable straight out of, just like that. I've ruined some of these. I've repaired some of these from other people that have ruined them. They're just kind of tricky. It's not what you expect when you take these apart. So that ribbon cable is really tight, I feel like. Need to check that out. And here is the power board. We'll check that out in a minute. And now we can lift the board up, hopefully. And we should have a couple connections on the other side. Yep, one right here and one under it. This, I don't think that's how that's supposed to go. Maybe it is. Pretty sure, does it go? No, it doesn't go like that. We need to look at that further. It's been a while since I've worked on one of these. Okay, and there's the board. Let's have a look at this charge port under a microscope. That charge port's soldered on just fine. I am remembering, I think in his email, he said that he bought something new, maybe a new board. So this specific motherboard may be the one that he bought to replace the other one. Not totally sure. I do see a problem here. So along here you see all these shiny gold pins. Till we get to right here, then we're missing two of them. That's a problem. Let's see if they're missing any more anywhere. That one looks good. That looks good. And we can see we are missing two pins right here. And I don't even see them down there anywhere, which means they've just been broken totally clean off. So that means we need to replace this. Now, one of the things that we can do with a connector like this that's missing two pins is we could just replace those pins. We would just have to desolder it from here and slide new ones in and solder them down. But the other problem with this connector is that this locking tab doesn't actually lock down. You can see it just flops around here. So that means that this connector is doomed and we will have to replace the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is remove this connector from this board, since it's a good one, and install it onto this board. I'm going to heat this up with my hot air wand, and then as the solder melts, I will pull off the connector with my tweezers. And now that that connector has come off, I'm going to put some flux on all of this solder and then use my soldering iron to reflow all of it. And then I just need to bring my iron in and fix those little peaks. Now that it's nice and smooth, I can bring the connector on. I'm just gonna solder down one of the pads, and that will keep the connector right where I need it so I can solder down another one. Now that this is all lined up pretty much perfectly, I can do the rest of the soldering. Unfortunately, I did melt the locking tab a little bit, but it still should work fine. Now that we have this connector on, we need to figure out this cable that goes on the other side. I think it was plugged in upside down like this when I took it apart, and I'm pretty sure it needs to be plugged in like this. Before we get this board installed though, I think we need to check this power board, because that could be the main issue here. It could be that it's not sending power to the main board. Now there are a few fuses on here that commonly go bad, so that's where I'm gonna start. There could be a few other things too, but the fuses are the main first thing to check. So using my meter, it looks like this fuse is good. And since the fuse is good on this, I think I am just gonna try and use this and see if it'll work with this board. Now this cable goes in just like this with the top side pointed up, just like I have it. That should be the way it goes. This could have been the whole problem with this entire console in the first place. Obviously now we have a problem with the power getting to the board, but the original problem could have been that one ribbon cable. So now we'll just get the rest of this board installed and then we can give it a test. Now this is the connector we repaired, and I've got to make sure it goes in there and that the locking tab flips down, and it does. Okay, good. Now we'll get the rest of this board installed, and then we'll give it a test. And now with the board installed and this bottom case on, we need to put the battery in, but let's make sure it's good first. 3.9 volts. That's a good battery. So now we'll install it and try and turn it on. And here we go. No power. Bummer. So I've taken the power board back off because I just wanted to check it a little bit more. We know the fuse is good, and I've actually checked around the chip. I've checked around everything else, and there's no obvious shorts on this power board. But since the 3DS is getting no power at all, I think I'm still going to replace it with a known good one and then see if the 3DS will then power on. So this is one that I know is good. It's coming from a working 3DS. Same model. Actually, let's plug it in over here first. There we go. Okay, now I just have to get the screws in and then we can test it. And known good battery. Okay, now let's see if it'll power on. And blue light and the screens come on. Awesome. Now it does look like the cursor's jumping around, so we might have a problem with the circle pad or maybe the D-pad. So that we need to get fixed. But other than that, that's awesome that this thing works. So that means our connector worked and all my soldering was good. I mean, obviously, but we need to figure out this problem with the cursor jumping around. So let's get this thing taken back apart. It could be the D-pad, but I think it might be the analog stick. Now, one of the things I did notice is it is kind of boogered up right here, and like the board is like bent right here. So I don't know if that's going to cause a problem or not. We got the game slot right here too, so maybe there's a problem there. We'll check that game slot here in a minute once we're done. And with the old analog stick out, we can plug in the new one. And then we'll just need to flip down the locking tab, get it lined up properly. This is how I like to do it. I open it about halfway, and then we can just push it in and connect to the thumbstick, but it's not actually, wait a second, it doesn't actually fit down in there. That's weird. So it's not pushing down all the way. I wonder, yeah, that's the wrong one. So this one is actually for the new 3DS XL. The other one was for just the standard 3DS XL. Now we'll open it halfway, push it into the thumbstick cap, and then it fits down there perfectly. Now we just got 2 screws to put in, the bottom case, the battery, and then we can test it again and see if that analog stick works. And with that analog stick replaced, let's see what happens. Okay, and the box is not jumping around. There we go. That fixed it. All right. Great to see. Okay, volume works, 3D slider works. These buttons work. Okay, those buttons work good. So the one other thing we need to test is whether this thing will play games. So we're gonna test out Ridge Racer. Okay, and it shows up right there. Ridge Racer. All right. And there we go. So the very last thing we need to do on this 3DS is put in good screws. All of the back case screws were stripped out, especially this one. So let's install those, and then we can put the bottom shell on, and this one's ready to sell. And with good screws installed on that bottom shell, we can replace this part of the bottom case. Unfortunately, we only have one of the yellow feet but this is not in perfect condition anyway. Okay, and with that, this is what we have, a fully working new Nintendo 3DS XL that looks pretty good overall. We do have some pretty rough spots on the shell, mainly right here. Other than this part though, it really isn't in too bad a condition. We do have a missing foot over here. So I spent $180 to buy this. I probably used about, I don't know, $15 to $20 worth of parts. So that brings us to about $200 total spent on this new Nintendo 3DS XL. The ones that are in better condition than this go for $300 or more. So I think we could probably get a minimum of $275 for this one. If you like this type of video, you'll probably like the video where I bought 13 broken Nintendo handhelds, including some rare and special editions. I'll put a link for that video up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see how many I was able to fix. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.